Welcome everybody to day 3 of the 12 Days of Christmas MyLeague featuring the Alaska Chill. It says Anchorage. I changed it to Alaska, but it didn't save, so I'm going to have to redo that change next season. I didn't notice it. But anyway, here's a look at the roster. We've made some big moves over the offseason, most notably adding James Wiseman and LaMelo Ball via the NBA draft. So we've got not one, but two really good young players who we can build around for the long term. We also drafted Ochai Agbaji in the second round and Amar Sia as a draft and stash player. And the luxury about this team is we have money. Nobody's making over $9 million annually, which is crazy. Every team at least has a few players making that type of money, but we don't have any. And this is supposed to be a good free agency class. I mean, Giannis, Kawhi, Paul George. So just keep your eyes out for some potential big-name players could be headed up north to Alaska. I mean, I don't know why they'd want to go there, but who knows. And here's a look at Damian Jones. We acquired him last season. He's going to be an impending free agent. Josh Hart will be an impending free agent. He just won most improved. And as you can see, we don't have a bunch of phenomenal players who are going to be free agents, but there are some good players here. Derek White, the second pick, the expansion draft. And he did not progress last year. He actually went down like 3 ratings because he got hurt twice. But other than that, he played well. But I question his long-term role in the team. He was supposed to be like an 80 at this point, but instead he is a 75, which is not good. There's also Thomas Bryant, and I don't know his long-term place on the roster with James Wiseman and Bol Bol. So he could be a guy we look at trading mid-season. And then Marcus Morris, we signed him as a veteran presence. Likely will be trade bait come January or February, but he is a good player. So I did want to bring his veteran leadership in, and he's a former Jayhawk. So the starting lineup for Season 2 will be LaMelo Ball, Josh Hart, Rodions Kurucs, Bol Bol, and James Wiseman. Off the bench, we will see Bryant, Amari Spellman, Marcus Morris, Derek White, and then Kyle Guy. I want to give some of those other guys minutes, and with pending trades throughout the season, I'm sure they will. Here's a look at the 2021 NBA draft class. I expect us to get a somewhat high pick again. I don't think we'll be as bad as we were last year. I think this team should progress, and I don't see us picking in like the top 5. But at the same time, I don't think this is a playoff team or anything. I still think we have plenty of work to do when it comes to building this team for short-term success, let alone the long term. But this is a really good draft class, and if we can get a high pick, we can probably get another star for our team long term. There are some great players in this class, and we could form a nasty big 3 along with LaMelo Ball and James Wiseman. So NBA.com has us at 15 in their power rankings. 2K Sports has us at like dead last, yeah. And then the other set of power rankings isn't as much kinder. Eric Bonish, or I think that's how you say it, he has this as 16 as well. So some of them have this being borderline playoff teams, and the other one has this being like the worst team of the league. So here we are at about the New Year's. Here's a look at the stats. We got our 2 rookies doing well, but guys like Josh Hart and Derek White, who are high picks in the expansion draft, they aren't really doing too hot. And then our top pick in the draft, Bol Bol, has been playing well, but he has been a walking injury. I think he's played 5 games up to this point. But let's go back to Josh Hart. I mean, he's really taken a step down this year. Yes, he's not one of the main scoring options, but I would like to see more from him. We're trading him along with my son, Frank Mason, to the Phoenix Suns in a package involving Javon Carter, Trey Jones, and most importantly, their first-round pick this year. And then Thomas Bryant, a player who, as I said, I don't really have a long-term role for. You know, he's good, but I don't see where he fits on this team. Him along with Marcus Morris and Derek White are headed to the New Orleans Pelicans in exchange for their first-round pick, along with Nicolo Melli, Gorgie Dieng, and Kenrich Williams. So a lot of our high picks from the expansion draft are being traded away. Guys like Matisse Thybulle last season during the draft. White and Hart just got moved. Thomas Bryant was a big draft pick. So the only player currently starting for us who we drafted was Guy and then Amari Spellman, and Bol Bol will be replacing Spellman once he returns. Here's a look at the All-Stars. Unsurprisingly, no Chill, which, I mean, makes sense. We're not that good yet. And no real surprises for the All-Star roster, I would say. Bam Adebayo surprised me at the time of the recording, but I recorded this last week before Bam Adebayo got all this hype, and deserved hype. He's playing really good basketball in real life. So LaMelo and Wiseman are 1 and 2 for Rookie of the Year, which is very good. Got a pair of Utah Jazz players, Cole Anthony and Anthony Edwards, right behind. Those guys were picked 2nd and 3rd, respectively, where Wiseman and Ball were 1 and 4. You also got Edwards there for 6th Man of the Year. Jarrett Culver is the favorite for Most Improved. A lot of young guys in that conversation. So Damian Jones has been seeing some more playing time after the New Year's, but we're going to be trading him along with Nikola Melli to the Clippers in exchange for young center Ivica Zubac and a future 2nd-round pick. Zubac is only 23. Maybe he's trade bait long-term. Maybe he's a long-term backup center. So Zubac will be the 6th man. He'll probably have a smaller role once Bol comes back. And now we're at the end of the season. Luka Doncic wins MVP. LaMelo, Rookie of the Year. Anthony Edwards wins 6th Man of the Year. The Greek Freak, Giannis Antetokounmpo, wins Defensive Player of the Year. John Morant wins Most Improved. Brett Brown, Coach of the Year for the Philadelphia 76ers. So here's a look at the All-NBA teams. We have nobody, which is not a surprise. We do have LaMelo and Wiseman represented on the All-Rookie First team, so that's nice. And crazy enough, we are in the playoffs. We are the 7th seed in the Western Conference. So I'm surprised we made it. LaMelo and Wiseman both averaged 20.9 points per game exactly. Melo also averaged about 9 assists, 5.5 boards. Wiseman averaged 10.5 boards. Bol got a lot more playing time late in the year. He was actually healthy, putting up 18 and 8. Kyle Guy with 12. Zubac with the 11. Kuruks and Okogie played pretty well too. So now on to the playoffs, where we're going to be facing the Dallas Mavericks here in round 1. They look pretty similar, still led by Luka and Kristaps. They have that at Rudy Gobert, though, along with Bojan Bogdanovic. So I see why they're the 2 seed. That team is kind of nasty. I do not expect to win this series, and unsurprisingly, we would end up getting swept. So congratulations to the Dallas Mavericks for beating us. So now it's time to simulate the rest of the playoffs. The Mavericks are playing the Miami Heat in the 2nd round. Yes, the Miami Heat are in the Western Conference. I forgot to change that. Luckily, this episode, when I was recording, I did notice it, and I did move them. I swapped them with, like, the Timberwolves or something, which is good, as the Heat end up making the finals and losing to the 76ers. So Season 2 of the 12 Days of MyLeague, we had the Heat and Sixers in the finals. Interesting. Looking at the retirements, none of our players. We do see some talented guys in here, most notably Carmelo Anthony, hanging up the sneakers. Also got some young players in here like Mie Oni. Not that it really matters too much. Noah White retires, assistant coach of the Sacramento Kings. 1 Hall of Famer, 2, no one's surprised. It is Melo, who is absolutely deserving of it. I don't care if people disagree. And something that we're doing for this series is every season we are adding an obscure rule. Last year we eliminated foul outs. This year we are eliminating backcourt violations. So I'm curious to see how offenses change now that they can use the backcourt the full 24 seconds. I think that'd be very interesting in real life. I don't think it'll really affect the way the game plays. But in real life, I think that would be a really interesting addition. And thankfully, I did remember to make this change. The Miami Heat are no longer in our conference. Thank goodness. So now on to the NBA Draft Lottery. And we do have 1 pick in here, projected pick 13 via the Knicks. The other pick we got from, I believe, Cleveland, they ended up making the playoffs that way. So we're only going to have 1 lottery pick. And unlike last year, we don't get lucky, which isn't really a surprise. We don't move down, though, so we have 13 along with our other picks, which is 18 and then 25. That was actually from Phoenix, not Cleveland. And then we have 30 from Cleveland. So we actually have 4 first-round picks, which is a lot. But none of them are at the top, unfortunately. So maybe we look to trade up rather than draft a bunch of guys as depth. And we wanted to go after some guys throughout the top as well as throughout the middle of the first round because unlike last year, we're not putting all of our focus on the top players since not any of our picks are inside the top 10 and 3 of our picks are not inside the lottery. We do want to make those types of moves, but that changes as we make a big deal with the Oklahoma City Thunder to acquire the 4th overall pick, and it's a tough choice between Jalen Johnson and Terrence Clark. I think most people would go Johnson, but we're going to go Terrence Clark here. He's a year younger, and that was the deciding factor. Johnson is a little bit better, but I feel more comfortable with going with Terrence Clark. I do think he has a little bit higher upside. With our 13th pick, which we did not trade away in the OKC deal, we're going to pick Brian Antoine, channel legend. I had to do it. They spelled his name incorrectly, though. It's a Y, not an I. And then our other pick, number 25, I assume this would be, because the up next thing is totally glitched. It's been glitched for years. Both our pick, we're going Anton Watson from Gonzaga. So 3 new first-round rookies on the team in Terrence Clark, Brian Antoine, and Anton Watson. And then we have another rookie coming over from Senegal. Remember last year with pick 17 or something, we drafted Amar Sia. His draft and stats year is over, so he's going to be on the team as well. Here's a look at the second round. We obviously did not own a pick in round 2, but there are some good players in here. Guys like Khalil Whitney, Keon Brooks, Alex Antetokounmpo, Marcus Bagley, Jamie Brakefield. Those are some decent players. So we're going to be unsurprisingly signing all of our rookies, but you may notice there, $43 million in cap space. That's a lot of dough. And that's enough for a max free agent if we do want to go that route. Looking at team options, Josh Okogie, Rodion Kubrick, Ochai Agbaji, and I assume the other player would be Amari Spellman. I didn't have time to look. They're all being accepted, and then the qualifying offers are being accepted for all those guys too. So free agency is really good. It's really good. There are some big names in here. And this isn't necessarily a realistic MyLeague, so we're going to have some fun. Nobody is going after Paul George, so he will be receiving an offer. Nobody is going after Victor Oladipo, so he's getting an offer. Everybody's putting their eggs in the Kawhi Leonard basket, and I figure just for the heck of it, why not give Kawhi an offer? We're not going to get him, right? Lies. He wants to come play for us. And funny enough, if we did not get him, he would have returned to Toronto. So he really wanted to go back up north for whatever reason. We do not have enough money for both Kawhi and Paul George. Consolation prize, Kawhi Leonard and Victor Oladipo. So welcome to the team, Kawhi. Welcome, Oladipo. Both of them have signed 4-year contracts. Kawhi Leonard has received a no-trade clause. Oladipo did not get that, which I think could be good because Oladipo is 29. I don't know if we want to pay him that contract when he's 33. But nonetheless, we got ourselves an MVP caliber player and then an all-star caliber player in Oladipo to go with our young court of James Wiseman, LaMelo Ball, Terrence Clark, and some other good players like Rodion Kubrick, Kyle Guy, Bol, Josh Okogie. This team is looking really, really nice all of a sudden. And this team is a championship contender as soon as next season. Getting a top 5 player, getting a top, I would say, borderline 15 player. Bol has received an offer, I think, from Brooklyn or Miami or somebody. 3 years, about $60 million. We are going to match it, so Bol is back. And then Javon Carter and Kyle Guy accept their qualifying offers, so they return to the team. And man, this squad looks nice. Wiseman and Melo both go up 5, so James is an 86, LaMelo now at 84. Sia goes up 7, he's at 78. Terrence Clark looks like a beast. This team is locked and loaded and ready to rock and roll. That's been my new saying the past week. I don't know why. So Bol is going to get untapped potential. He is probably going to be the 6th man on this team, I would assume. And then untapped potential will also be going to Terrence Clark. So there you go, buckaroo. And we're going to be making one quick trade, Javon Carter to the Toronto Raptors for a 2024 first-round pick, along with a trade exception. We don't need Javon Carter. We were just going to cut him anyway because of roster spots. But hey, we'll take a first-round pick out of it. And then Anton Watson, he's going to the G League. Joining him in the G League will be Brian Antoine, and I did fix his name, as you can see. So here's the rotation. LaMelo, Oladipo, Clark, Wiseman, and Kawhi Leonard are the starters. Leonard is obviously not playing at center. I don't know why I said it in that order. And then there's a look at the bench as well. So that'll do it here for the 3rd episode of the 12 Days of MyLeague Rebuild. I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. Let me know if you're excited for Season 3. It's going to be a fun one. Have a good one. Peace out.